Yes.
That was a bang and a half. But anyway, everyone, welcome to THFC. Let me get my camera a bit clearer so you can see me. Big up, everyone. Welcome to THFC Till I Die. Newsbeat, the home of Tottenham from past to present. And this is Newsbeat, where we will give you all the latest news of Spurs today. A bit of reflections on the Premier League results over the weekend, and a little bit of a preview to the massive Champions League game we've got tomorrow night in Marseille. Joining me as normal, as my usual co-host, my usual partner in crime, she is the one and only Queen Ellie Hoybier. Ellie, how are you this afternoon?
I'm okay. I'm just blocking out some of the light because it's glaring onto my screen.
Well, to be fair, Ellie, when you first come in the back room, I thought Angel Gabrielle had actually come down from heaven. She was blessing us Spurs fans that we will win a trophy this year, but it's Queen Ellie, so that's good enough. But Ellie, how was your weekend? Did you enjoy the weekend's football and the women's yesterday?
I didn't watch the first half because I was out with my daughters playing crazy golf in Chelmsford and doing lots of Halloweeny stuff, really. Like people were celebrating it on the weekend. They're not going to celebrate it on Monday, are they? No. They're at work. So it was really good fun seeing all the outfits and everything like that. But then Spurs nearly had a horror show, didn't we?
Yeah,
we nearly did. You know, we nearly gifted them the 3 points. Yeah. The thing is, we're shooting ourselves in the foot too early, aren't we? And if we don't recover, we lose, obviously. Yeah.
Well, listen, happy Halloween to everyone. It is a bank holiday here in Ireland because we don't have fireworks over here because I don't think they trust us with fireworks. We might chuck it at some government person, but that's a different way. But anyway, big up. Let's say hello. Who's in the chat, Ellie? The first one in. This man takes some beating.
My husband's namesake.
3-0 Isaac, big up. He says 2 thumbs up and 100%. We've got the comedian genius that is Carl Simpson. He says good afternoon, Dermot and Ellie, and big up in the chat. We've got Mick Harmlick, big up Mick. Says good afternoon, Dermot and Ellie. Then we've got Jerula, big up Jerula, big up everyone. We've got me and David. I don't know how you class me and David. We're sort of like he's like me, arch nemesis in a good way, but big up David. He says hello Dermot and Ellie from Leicester. And then we've got Andrew Gregory, big up Andrew. Says afternoon, Dermot and Ellie.
Hello, Andrew.
And then we've got Mia. That's the first. That first goal in the ladies' game was an absolute belter. Big up Mia. Mia is joining us tomorrow on Queen Ellie's ladies show. So she'll be coming on as a guest. And we have a belter of a debate coming up this week on Thursday at 8 o'clock. More later, but I've just got confirmed who's coming on. So we hope you will enjoy that. Yeah. Ellie, let's start with the news. Shall we start with the Premier League results first and just have a talk about them? And we'll go through them and get everyone's thoughts on the results. There was some hamdingers during the weekend. Before we get into everything else doing Tottenham. And the first was, of course, Man City beating Leicester. Look, the results rarely just a foregone conclusion. I think Man City's going to roll over most teams, apart from Tottenham this season. But Ellie, do you know 1-0? Do you know? Did you think Man City would score more with Haaland coming off as well? What did you think of that game?
I watched most of it in between doing my womanly stuff. But what I saw is that Leicester gave it a good go, but Class paid its final ticket on Leicester. They gave them the red card, and that De Bruyne goal. What a fabulous goal!
Yeah.
You can't teach that. That's sheer class. Sheer class.
It is. And look, I think Pep is probably one of the best managers in Europe, if not in Europe at the moment. Look, Man City are beatable. Man City, you take certain players out, they are beatable, but they will be a hard team to beat, I think, Ellie, for the championship this year. But anyway, they beat Leicester 1-0. Then we go over to this. Now, this for me was a shock. Yeah. Klopp's under pressure. Klopp's under pressure, isn't he, Ellie?
United. I said, come on, Leeds United.
Yeah. I mean, Klopp, the first goal they conceded, that was horrendous. I mean, the pass, I think it was the bypass from Gomez back to Alisson and goal, totally misjudged it. Yeah. Look, Klopp's under pressure, Ellie. What's gone wrong with Liverpool this season, do you think? Because they rarely are not playing well. And just quickly, Graham Souness was on TalkSport this morning, and he was basically saying that the midfield is old. The midfield's getting old now. You've got players in 30, 32, 29. Do you know? Yeah. Do you think Klopp will be there by the end of the season?
I don't think so, because they love him there. They treat him like a godfather. We've got our godfather, they've got their godfather. But I've noticed lately, on a woman perspective, that he's looking quite ashen, like he's seen a ghost. It's the ghost of Liverpool past. That's what he's seeing. You know what? It's just one of those things that Liverpool just haven't got into their groove. They started off badly and they've gone picked up a little bit, then they've gone bad again. So it doesn't augur well for his future if it wasn't Liverpool.
Yeah.
But Liverpool are very, very loyal to their managers. They are. They're not a Chelsea. They're not a Watford. They're Liverpool. And that's why they always come good. You look at their track record. They're the most prolific and the most they've won the most honours, I should say. Yeah.
But with
Klopp, you can't argue with that.
No, you can't. Look, with Klopp, he had the same thing as after 7 years at Dortmund as well. And look, could it be history repeating itself? Who knows? But look, for me, Liverpool are not the same Liverpool they have been. And to be fair, I'm actually glad a little bit, because I just think that, they got away with too many decisions, went their way. The Champions League final, and it's just, for me, it's just, I'm glad they're getting, Karma is brilliant. All I'm going to say is karma. Carl Simpson says Klopp is in a poch thatch Spur spiral. Yeah, it looks like the same thing to me.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got Mia. Leeds beating Liverpool. Wow, I thought they would have dropped off. I think the midfield is affecting them, and the style of play cannot be imitated. Yeah, the midfield. Graham Souness said this morning, Mia, the midfield is old.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, and then we've got Wembley one. Good afternoon, Ellie and Dermot. Do you have faith in the boys will stand up like men and be able to grind out a result of sorts in the hostile atmosphere? I wish I could say I do.
Yeah.
Look, Ellie, I get your thoughts on it. My quick thoughts on it. My head says, my heart says, yeah, of course they're going to do it. My head says it's hide behind the coach, the sofa time, and just pop up every couple of seconds to see what's happening. Look, we had it against Mora. We had it against the when we played over there in the Conference League last season. Do you know what I mean? It was just these players can't deal with atmospheres. It's an excuse. We haven't won away since November 2020, Ellie. Do you know what? I'm going to say yes. The boys can do it.
Are you sticking your neck out?
I'm sticking my neck out. I'm sitting on.
I'll stick it out with you. Yeah. Here we go. Stretching it out. Right. You know what? It's like I liken it to, you know, when you've got that stale bit of bread in the bread bin, and it's not quite stale. It's like just going stale. That's what I think Spurs are away from home in Europe. You know, they just haven't got. I don't know. They just go stale. They really do. Right. Yeah. And their play, it's like they blame everything but themselves. Do you know what I mean? The pitch. Yeah. The pitch is the same for everybody, Dermot. We know this.
You don't want to play some of the pitches over here. Find that complaining anyway.
You know what I mean?
Big
up some awful pitches.
That's so true, Ellie. Big up Wembley one. Thank you for the comment. We've got David Clark here, says Liverpool are suffering from young midfielders, not ready and old legs, but sadly Gomez won't be playing against us. Yes, that is so true. That is so true. So Leeds beat Liverpool, Ellie. That was for me a shock. Newcastle, top 6 sides to beat Aston Villa 4-0. The new manager takes charge today, I think. Emery takes charge of Villa. Newcastle, top 4 side, top 6 side, Ellie. Where do you think they'll finish this year in the league?
I think definitely top 4 because they've got the momentum and they've got that belief in the club. And you can see, right, Eddie Howe, he's always been a decent manager. You know, he's at Bournemouth. Like he steers the ship very, very well. And he's a modern manager, Dermot. He's a very modern manager with modern views. And he's got his team ticking over very nicely. And he's got that Bruno Guimaraes. He's got the experience of Trippier. And then he's even got Joe Linton playing out of his skin. And they all know their jobs, right? They all know that they have to muck in. Because there's no easy game in the Premiership, but they're making it look easy against the Aston Villa team that had hit a little bit of form after they sacked Gerrard. You know, so hats off to them. I like Newcastle as a club. I think they're marvellous. The only thing is their owners, but we're not going to go into there, are we?
Look.
Not today, anyway.
I think everyone has a soft spot for Newcastle, one way or the other. Yeah. You know, it's like it's everyone's favourite second team. In a way,
I agree.
Having won a trophy since the Fairs Cup in the late '60s. Of course, they've had great players down the years: Kevin Keegan, Malcolm McDonald. They've had Les Ferdinand, Ginola played for them. Peter Beardsley, Gazza started at Newcastle. Chrissy Waddle, as well.
Chrissy Waddle,
for me, Ellie, the Keegan sides of the '90s for me were they were the best Newcastle sides I think I've ever seen. But look, Villa, will they stay up, Ellie? Or do you think they're a good move? Do you think firstly will Villa stay up?
I think they're good enough to stay up. There's 3 worse teams than them.
Yeah,
just put it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Of course, then it's our game against Bournemouth, the mighty comeback, which we went into detail last night. We've got a bit more on it today. So 3-2 against Bournemouth. Bournemouth stay up or go down, Ellie?
I think they'll just about scrape.
Yeah.
I think they'll just about scrape. Because I think there's enough in their team with that Keeper Moore and Solanke, which should get them out of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's 3 or 4 down the bottom, Ellie, that are sort of thereabouts. You've got Brentford, Palace team, so I think it's going to be tight down the bottom as well as at the top.
Yeah.
Then we have the result of the weekend. I was so happy. I was just over the moon.
My husband was very, very happy being a QPR fan.
Graham Potter going back to Brighton with his Chelsea side, all the best players. Brighton turn up and turn them over. I think they were 3-0 up at half time, weren't they? 3-0 up at half time. And
I just got back to the second half after we played Crazy Golf. And I was watching it with my future son-in-law. He's a big, big, big Chelsea fan. When I say big, he gets upset like we do when we lose. So he goes into meltdown. And then he's got my husband, who's a QPR fan, in his ear, jibbing him. So he got it really bad. And he just drank beer all afternoon.
Have you been impressed with Brighton this season, Ellie? Because I've been quite impressed with Brighton
very, very impressed. Very, very impressed. I like the way they move the ball. I like the way they pass the ball. I like the way they pick up pockets of space where nobody else is picking them up, because they work so hard to get into those little pockets of space that make them stand out. Really do. And I like their effervescence, you know, when they come on the pitch. They're not arrogant, which is a very good thing. They go on the pitch and they work hard as a team. And then they do all their little bits that, you know, get them over the line and get them those 4 goals. Yeah. And it's not a fluke, because they've had some terrific results.
Look, there's one player I like in the Brighton side, is that their right wing back, Lampy. I would love him at Tottenham. I really would love him at Spurs. I've always been a big fan of his since
I like him a lot as well, though. And I like Trossard. Very good player. Technically gifted as well. Worked hard. Love him.
So Chelsea were totally demolished by Brighton. Chelsea, for me, I think Chelsea might struggle to get into top 4 this year, Ellie. I think they might be top 5 or top 6. I just don't know. There's something, I don't know.
I think there's 3 more teams more hungry than them, right? And then there's 2 more teams that are just as good as them. Yeah, technically, you know.
I think hungry is the wrong word, Ellie. I think it's more just Chelsea are not Chelsea, if you know that. I'm glad, I'm happy, because I think I hate Chelsea with a passion anyway. So so look, it couldn't happen to a nicer team. So big up
What I meant by hungry is that there's two or three teams up there with them, are not as technically as gifted as Chelsea. They haven't got so many star players, but they're hungry to do better than them, and they'll push themselves to get ahead of them, because they know that Chelsea have got better players, but they'll fight them to the tooth and nail to get that result. And Brighton showed it. Yeah.
We've got Carl Simpson here. It said toss hard, play sexy football, and his contract is finished in the summer. I'd snap him up like
I'll go there.
I really would. I love watching play. We've got Patrick Vieira's Palace side. They beat Southampton 1-0. I think both sides, I think Palace could get into Europe this year, either a Conference League. I think they're in the fight for that. Southampton will finish where Southampton finishes every season. Myself, Ellie, you never know. Now, just a quick thought in this game. Can Palace get Conference League football? Do you think it's within their reach? Because they're having a good season.
Yeah, I think so. They're a team that goes up and down, aren't they? They're not like consistent enough, but they might be able to scrape a 7th or even a 6th. I don't think they're good enough to finish top 4. No, they're not going to be good enough. They're going to be in and around that 10th to 7th place.
Yeah, well, I've never thought the top 4 was more the Conference League, more the 6th, more the 6th from 7th sort of downwards. Myself, I think that's what they will.
They're good enough. They've got good enough players to get them there. Just put it right. It's whether they perform consistently over the season. Yeah.
Now we're coming to the bottom. Southampton, of course, 17th. Ellie, 1 point off the bottom tree, 1 point ahead of Leicester. Look, Southampton, do you think they'll survive this year, or they another team? No team's not too good to go down, Ellie, but do you think they might just scrape it away?
I think they might go down. I've just got a funny feeling that they're going to go down. Yeah. And I'll take them to go down, because I love little Cole Walker-Peters. I think he's a fabulous player. And I think maybe they've just got enough. I think they might finish 5th from bottom. Just about 4th or 5th from bottom, because they're not firing on all cylinders. They've lost their mojo. Their results are all over the place. And they're losing a lot. So that's a surefire sign that you're going to go down, and it keep on losing.
It is. Big up to Terry Wright, who's just come into the chat. Big up, Terry. Glad you're here. Ellie, Brentford won, Wolves won. Brentford's now in 14th place. No, Brentford. Where's Brentford? Sorry, in 11th place with 15 points. the surprise package last year, the Premier League for me.
Yeah.
Wolves in the bottom 3. Now, look, I think myself, Ellie, this is from 14th down to 19th, right?
Yeah.
Bournemouth 13 points, Leeds 12, Villa 12, Southampton 12, Leicester City 11, Wolves 10, and Forest 9. So it's very congested down that bottom. Really, from 12th onwards, there's only 4 points separating Everton to Wolves in 19th. 1-1 with Brentford Wolves. Fair result for both sides, do you think?
Yeah, I didn't see this match, but I saw a little bit of the highlights. Do you know what? Wolves, right, on paper, you look at their team and you think they'll be okay. But they're like they're on the slide. They're not really getting good results. Yeah. So they could be one that actually falls, you know. And as for Brentford, they're definitely survived because they've got a fantastic manager. I love their manager. I think he's a breath of fresh air. I love him. I like the way he talks as well.
Yeah,
he's very passionate.
Yeah, as I said, Ellie, Brentford was a surprise package of last season. I think they will stay up no problem this season.
Yeah,
the only goalless draw in the whole Premier League weekend: Fulham 0, Everton 0.
No, that was a shock.
Everton on 12 for 14 points, and Fulham. Actually, Fulham in 7th actually with 19 points. Yeah. So Fulham having a very good season. Everton, too good. Probably mid-table, I think, this year. What do you think for both sides?
I disagree on that one, Dermot. Just basically what I saw of Everton, very negative.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard, he's noted for his fabulous arriving in the box late, and he had the perfect player to do it, ELLY, and he lets him go to Turpin. There must be reasons, obviously. We know the reasons, but. I think they're one of the teams who are going to be going down. I just really do think Everton will go down, just purely on the basis that they don't work as a team that hard. Fulham made them look really average, and Fulham well deserved to win that match. Willian had a blinder. I was watching it from start to finish. This one, I love the way Willian picked up spaces and. He was all over the place, making them look stupid. But I was very surprised that they grinded out that 0-0. But I just don't think they've got enough in their team. And it looks like Calvin Lewin is disinterested. I think he's looking for a big summer move or a big January move even.
Do you know what, Ellie? I think you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah. Look, for me, I don't rate Frank Lampard as a manager anyway. Look. I just don't think he has what it takes to manage big clubs. Everton to go down. Look, I know financially, if they would go down, they would be in serious problems. They had to sell with Richarlison just to keep the FFP off their back this summer.
Yeah.
But look, no team is too big to go down. But do you know what?
Right.
I think they are in a relegation fight this year, and Fulham. I think Fulham will stay up. Then the game yesterday, Ellie.
I'm blocking it.
We'll gloss over that result.
Just move on.
Now, Man United won, West Ham 0. Watched it. I thought West Ham came in, nearly snuck it at the end with 2 good chances to get an equaliser. Man United it was a boring match to watch, Ellie. To be fair,
it was.
It wasn't exciting.
No.
And I thought Ronaldo was okay. I thought Man United were okay, but
just okay.
Man United are 5th now on 23 points. We're 3 points up, but we're 3 points ahead of them in the league. Man United do have a game in hand over Newcastle, us, and Man City also have a game in hand as well. So
they're hot on our heels, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're hot on our heels. That's what all I've got to say.
But look, Ellie, look, it was good. It was a result that probably went our way a little bit because anytime West Ham loses, a good day. So we've got to be grateful for small mercies. But look, Ellie, your thoughts on the game, Man United, West Ham? Do you know
Yeah.
Any big highlights for you?
Just Fred played quite well.
Mm.
Again, he had a really good header. Unlucky to score, really. Fabianski was good in West Ham's goal.
It was.
Didn't give much away. Made some really good saves.
And De Gea
just
as
generally,
well.
I just think Casemiro's a different class.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes class gets you through matches when you're struggling to hit top form, and one of your class players has stepped up, like Harry Kane's done for us. He hasn't played particularly well, but he's got the goals. That's proof of the pudding. Class players always come good, you know. And then they've got Ronaldo as well, who could score for fun. You know, all right, he didn't score yesterday, but he can score for fun normally. And I think he looked a bit frustrated, to tell you the truth. I think he was trying a bit too hard. Because he could just relax. And I think he's trying to impress, maybe even to get that January. Listen, he doesn't have to impress anybody to get a January move to a Champions League team, because it's no secret that he wants to play Champions League football. So really, I think he's trying a bit too hard. Yeah.
Well, here's a question for you, Ellie, on that.
Yeah.
Would you take him at Tottenham?
100%. 100% I'll take him at Tottenham. The reason being, class, he could get you goals, even off the bench. You imagine him, he's Harry Kane's deputy. Do you imagine that? Harry Kane's deputy. But he wouldn't be, because I think he would get a spot. He'd prove himself, especially in the Champions League, because he comes alive in the Champions League. Yeah, he's got the best record, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he needs that. He needs that Ronaldo, because he's the elite of the elite.
Yeah, but Ellie, you would take him at Tottenham, but with all the other baggage that goes with it. I mean, if he doesn't, look how he refused to come on.
If he gets us the league title with his goals and wins us the Champions League, nobody's going to remember his baggage.
As much as I think Ronaldo's probably the greatest player in our generation we've ever seen, refusing to come on for your club if your manager asks you is really disrespectful. And I think you've got to say big up to Ten Hag as well up at Old Trafford, how he's dealing with this situation as a whole. I think Conte would be another manager who could deal with it. But look, it's all right. It's all ifs and buts. But look, it was good. But that was the Premier League roundup. We're doing that every Monday. Me and Ellie will go through the results and you get our thoughts on the game. Now we're going on to Conte's press conference after the game on Saturday. So this was the first bit, Ellie. Tottenham Antonio Conte walked down the tunnel to avoid heart attack, VAR drama. And this is his quote, Ellie, and I'll get your thoughts on it afterwards. He says, I came back when I knew the goal was regular. I thought in my mind, my heart, I can have a heart attack because in 2 days to score, then have a goal disallowed. Yeah. And then he also put, I said I go down and stay calm and then wait for the decision of the referee. You don't blame him, really, do you, Ellie?
He's Conte, he's the most passionate man that I've ever seen in any walk of life. And I've had some passionate men around me. My dad, for one, so passionate. But I would put Conte in front of my dad because he's like, he wears his heart on his sleeve. And I love his passion because I'm thinking, he said that he feels part of the family at Spurs. So he takes it personally when a goal's disallowed. It really hits his heart. You can tell he cares. That's what I love. He cares about our club. And also, he cares that he wants to do well in the Champions League because he's got a point to prove. Because everybody was slating him before even the competition started, Dermot, saying that he hasn't got a good record and putting him down.
I think what he was more going on about, Ellie, it was really not about the Champions League. It's more about the VAR drama again and what we had at the end of the game against Sporting Lisbon. Yeah. And then the same thing happening again. Look, VAR, Ellie, where do you stand on it? Does it need to go?
I hate it. Do you know what, Dermot? I celebrated that goal like a mad woman I went crazy, and I was getting hugged by men. I was being tossed around. You know, I was literally lifted up and tossed around. I loved it. And then they take it all away. You know, all right, it might be the right decision, but it's open to interpretation. And I just think I felt sick to my stomach. And I left that ground. I met up with Alex Davis, and he cheered me up, and I had to bounce off other people to bring me back to normality. I was so down, you know, and I can understand, because Conte, he wasn't born in Tottenham like me, right? But he's got the passion of me. He's like me as a fella.
Yeah, so,
so I was so gutted, Dermot. I was so gutted. And I hate that bloody VAR for making me feel like that.
Yeah, but what would you put in place of it, Ellie? Would you just go back to the old days and put, hang on, would you go back to the old days, Ellie, and have it referee and linesman, but have the technology there for like goal line, but if a ball's crossed the line, the offside rules come so confusing. Even I don't know what offside is anymore. I mean, it's so ridiculous with lines, and if your toenail, if your little toenails over the line, you're offside.
It's offside.
Yeah.
You know, I always say when you're level with the last defender, you're onside. Yeah. So what they do, they draw the lines to see if you were level with the last defender. And then that one where it hit him, that is basically offside, because it apparently is deemed to be unintentional.
Do you feel, Ellie, that really during a whole season, these things work themselves out in the end, that VAR decisions that go against you will go for you at the end of the season? Or do you think it's just they've got it in for us?
That's not the point, though. I just think it ruins football. You've got to wait 3 or 4 minutes for them to make a decision on average. And some, like this is on average, so you're waiting tentatively, and then you hear a big cheer before you even know the decision from the away fans if it's disallowed. And that spoils your fun as well, because you don't even get to know when they know. Yeah, they get to know before us. I don't know how that happens. But I just scrap it, and then bring in a referee on the side, an extra referee to help the linesman run up the line. That's what I would do.
So you have 4 linesmen and 2 referees. So you would have 6 officials altogether. Yeah,
looking at it. Because then they can have a chat together and see if it was offside, because it's open to the eye, then interpretation on the eye.
Ellie,
when the ball is played.
I understand what you're saying.
When the ball is played, or have well, maybe I'm going off on a tangent here, but I just feel that VAR needs to be scrapped. That's all I want to happen.
Look,
I haven't really got a big solution.
Yeah, they brought VAR in to make it easier for the referee to stop these big decisions getting wrong, right?
Yeah.
If the technology is not being, if they keep making new rules every season, I mean, in Europe, it's a computer that says it's not human error. It's actually a computer that actually does the offsides rules in the offsides in the Champions League. I just don't know, Ellie. Look, for me, VAR, it's had its advantages. I think it was the first time the other night we've had to wait 4 minutes for a decision. Normally in the Premier League, it's within a minute, even less than a minute, 30, 40 seconds, and it's done. He'll say, go and look at the monitor. Referee goes and look at the monitor, penalty. Or a free kick or sending off or something like that. I just think, Ellie, in my own view, that was a complete and utter corruption the other night, where it was done. But look, we're not going to go down that route, because we could be here all day.
Have you got the timing for the Newcastle one? Because that was quite a long one as well.
Yeah, I was looking for that. We've got David Clark here says, Ellie, I don't mind VAR, but the officials are not using it properly. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So would you have different...
It's open to interpretation, isn't it?
It is. We've got Maya here saying there should be 2 rule changes. If it takes longer than a minute and a half, then a benefit of doubt should be given to the attacker. If it's between 1 and 5 millimeters off, it should be given as it's so marginal. Look, I agree with that. I mean, the old offside rule used to be, if in doubt, it goes to the attacker, the attacking team. If in doubt. Look, ELLY is just ridiculous. And Carl Simpson, big up Carl. I knew we'd bring us back down to earth again. He said, I say we got them to go back to where they thought the offside was and get the linesman to actually draw a line with the Benny Hill soundtrack.
Yeah, true. But you think offside is offside, whether it be a millimetre or 2 millimetres, still offside. But it's just petty. It's petty when it's just that marginal. I agree with Mia.
Yeah.
But they have to stick to the rules, unfortunately. If the lines show you're a millimetre off, they're going to give it off, and it's really ridiculous.
We've got Richard Pugh here. Big up, Richard. He says, the question I have is why is all other VAR decisions needing to be clear and obvious when an offside needs to be exact? I actually don't know, Ellie.
Yeah, because when you think about it, offside has to be exact because they're seeking an advantage by putting their foot out and getting that extra bit. But where it gets silly is if it's like really, really, really marginal, like there's like a hairline or something, or just like a little finger sticking out, or just like knee ahead of the player. I think it should be the foot, actually. Like if your arms are stretched out, they shouldn't count because that's a natural thing when you're running towards the ball.
But they see that as part of your body, Ellie. They will take.
I know, but I don't think they should.
I know.
You're running, Dermot. You're running to get there.
Do you remember the penalty against Newcastle against us last year when Newcastle got a penalty, or was it 2 seasons ago? Jose.
That was 2 seasons ago. Eric Dyer.
Yeah, it was under Jose. It was during the pandemic.
He put his arm up like that and hit the back of his arm. That'd be rubbish.
Yeah. David Clark says, do you know if you're the only player in the opponent's half, the ball is kicked towards their corner flag and he runs towards the ball but stops before he gets there, your teammates run from? Am I reading that wrong?
Right, do you know if you're the only player in the opponent's half and the ball is kicked towards their corner flag and he runs towards the ball but stops before he gets there and your teammate runs from? I don't get that one.
He also puts our half and gets the ball. Our first player can go into the box. The second player crosses it for the first man to score. Then it's onside. I get you.
Okay.
I get
you now. That's the whole sentence. Yeah.
Oh,
true.
We have Wolf Mauler. Big up Wolf. He's a VAR counts on an eyelash or the tip of your nose. Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
I know.
It really is. Ellie,
you just also haven't got a long nose, then, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
little
true.
Like me.
He also said he was asking. He also said in press conference, we started to play nasty. Conte on how Spurs came back versus Bournemouth. His quotes were, I have to be honest, and also after the first half, my feelings were positive. Yeah, right. I bet they were positive. Positive for kicking them up the arse, I think. The only situation that I ask my players is that we are to show more personality and take more responsibility. It did go on, but couldn't all fit it into the banner. Look, we had this under Jose at Ellie when he in the documentary saying we need to be a bunch of.
Yeah, that word that you shouldn't really say.
All right, we need to be nasty. We need to be bully. We need to stop bullying teams. We're too nice. How can this team win anything? We're too nice. Do you think that tag that tag's now stuck to us now that we're too nice of a team? We won't get down in the trenches, and if we have to get down and fight, a bit like a Højbjerg would or Romero would or a Bentancur would, they would get down in the trenches with you and fight it out and, fight for the man. You got other players, they see a fight and they're running away like their little legs can carry them. How do we change that mentality, Ellie? And do you think that's been our problem as well, why we've lost these away games like in Zagreb, like in Mora, where we've lost away in Europe, that we're not a nasty enough team?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, because you've got Javier Romero, Bentancur. I would say I'll put Kane in that, because he works like a Trojan, even though sometimes he hasn't been hitting the form, as we know Harry can. And then you've got Ben Davies. I'll put him in there. He's a fighter, even though he's a pretty dire fighter. And you've got even Eric Dyer, however dire he is, he's a fighter. He is. All right. The only thing is, we haven't got enough of those players to say, right, we're going to be like in a trench war, and we're going to get ourselves out of it. Yeah. So sometimes we fail because there's some of the team haven't got that same mentality. Right, and it's not about putting 100% in. It's about fighting as a team, because you can still put 80% in or 70% in or even 50% in, as long as that 50%, right, is a fighting 50%. No. I just think Jimmy Greaves hit on the head. He said you can run around and do everything in your power to win the match, but if you don't affect the match, that's where it comes in. If you can, in that moment when you're fighting, whether you're going to affect the match, when you get that power back from the other team. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't really agree with what some of you said. Eric Dyer is not a fighter. I don't know why you think he is. He's not like a Bentancur or a Romero. He won't pull your man's hair like Romero did against Chelsea.
But it's not all about that, though.
Yeah, but it's no, Ellie. But Ellie, look.
Attitude on the pitch.
Yeah, Ellie, look, he's the one that's making the mistakes. He's the one that's causing the problems. Eric Dyer, Sanchez,
but that does not make him a fighter.
I don't think. Look, you would look at Bentancur, he would die for the shirt. Højbjerg would die for the shirt. Romero definitely died for the shirt. Harry Kane would as well. Harry Kane will stick his foot in if he has to. He will get down in the trenches. But Ellie, them players, when we've been up against it, they're in the team when we played Zagreb, they're in the team when we played Mora, they're in the team when we've lost at Old Trafford this season when we didn't play. Ellie, they just want to turn up.
I think we have to agree to disagree on that one, Dermot.
I still haven't finished my point yet, Ellie. I still haven't finished
my point yet. Don't worry, I'll let you finish your point. Don't worry.
These same players do not put their. You say 50% is okay. Every player that puts on that.
Say that.
You said 50%.
No, I said 50%. If that 50% is a fighting 50%, then you give yourself if the 50% is like, I don't really care. If we look, I'm not bothered.
No, for me, it's 100%.
Some players give 50%, but that 50% is a strong 50%. They're in it to win it. They're in it to win it.
You have to give 110% every time you're in that jersey. You have to. It just look.
We've got difference of opinions, Dermot. We've just got different opinions. Because I've seen players give 100%, but that 100% is not good enough.
Yeah, but
it's just not good enough.
So look, it's okay to they've went away to Mora, right? A team we should not lose to. RS Mora, a team we should not lose to, Ellie. Where was the fight there?
That was our second team. That was our second team.
Yeah, but he was in that team, Ellie. I don't care if it's the second team. Dyer was playing in that team. And so was Sanchez.
You can't always blame Eric Dyer. I'm not on Eric Dyer's bandwagon, by the way. I'm just saying he does. I put him in the category. This is why managers play him, because they see something in him. God
knows what they see.
They do. Well, I don't. I see something in him. maybe different from you. I know he hasn't got the technical skill. I know he hasn't got when he traps the ball, he's very lackadaisy and he hasn't got the whereabouts in to control the ball and actually pass it quickly. But I don't think he lacks attitude. He goes on that pitch to win the match. You see, when he got up against Sporting, he tried to score. He was there. He made himself available.
Look,
but this is not a big up for Eric Dyer, by the way. I'm just saying he's the one. He's one of the players I believe is the fighter in the team.
Look, I agree with a little bit what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I think you have points on what you're saying. But for me, when it really mattered, he didn't turn up. It's okay turning up for 1 or 2 games. For the games against Zagreb, we were 2-0 up. Didn't turn up. Went to sleep in the second half. The game against RS Mora, again, didn't turn up. Manchester United this season at Old Trafford didn't turn up. He's been turned over time and again. Look, he may come on and put a bit of a odd good performance, but you look at Romero, Bentancur, Højbjerg, and Kane.
Yeah, I mean, they're on another level to Eric Dyer.
But no, the point. But Ellie, it doesn't matter on the level or not. They put in the performance every time they're pulling that shirt. It's 110%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to fathom why these managers play him, and that's the only thing I can put my finger on. That they see him as somebody who does care.
Well, we've got a few.
Does care about stuff.
We've started off a conversation in the chat anyway with this, Ellie, and that's
I know.
That's a good thing. That's
what I like you've got to look at. You've got to look at. You know, you've got your opinion. I've got mine.
Right. Carl Simpson says, I'm not a massive fan of Dyer, but at times he was the only player fighting back and actually showing passion. So he's on he's basically agreeing with you, Ellie.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you both. I do think Dyer has made mistakes and Defo has been the majority at fault, but he has been there when we fought and he has been one of those in the middle of it. Yeah, fair enough, Mia.
Yeah.
Big up Mia as well. To be fair, whenever you are working hard for the team, you're making an effort because you are giving your team more freedom because the pressure that you're creating will eventually win the ball back for your team. Big up Alexander Hilton.
Yeah.
Terry White says, spot on Dermot, Dyer is soft defender. He's the root of most of our defensive problems. Exactly. Me and Ellie will both agree on that.
He's Marmite, isn't he, Eric Dyer? But with the managers, he's pure Marmite because they keep on playing him.
Oh, yeah. David Clark, look, in my 26 years I've played against aggressive teams. We have come off bruised but slapped them football wise.
Yeah.
But you could say the most of the 5 players haven't given 100% at some point. Even Kane and Sonny, plenty of plays. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Hang on, Ellie. Hang on. I hear it. Do you hear it?
I'm not jumping in. Don't worry.
No, do you hear it? There's rumbling. I hear some rumbling.
Rumbling?
Yeah, from Kildare.
Oh my God.
Rumbling's been happening. If some of the players' wages were performance related, they might try harder. That is a very good point. That is actually a good point, Ellie. I want to expand on that for a minute, if you let me. Look, some of these players are on big money, Ellie.
I like that one by Andrew.
Yeah, some of these players are on big money on long-term contracts. You look at Dele Alli. All right, you look at players like that. Do you think some of these players that don't put it in every week should be on player-related performance wages?
Yeah, they should be docked wages as well when they make gaffes and we lose the match. You know, like if you're at work, you're doing your normal job. If you don't pull your weight and you're not being effective for the company and making more money, they normally fire you, don't they?
Yeah.
Because you're not making the money and you're slacking. But in football, they get away with blue murder, don't they, Dermot? You know, they can make an error. Next week, they're back in again. I
mean, you look at Sanchez, he spends more time on his backside in the 6-yard area, I think, than anybody else. But that's another conversation.
I think he likes falling on his ass, doesn't he?
He reminds me of a clown with 2 big feet that falls over each other. He reminds me of that. What was that program in the 70s? What was his name?
What program are you thinking of?
Oh, what was his name? He used to say, "Oh, Betty." Oh, Betty. That was his catchphrase.
Oh, Betty. I've not heard. No. Maybe that's one they just showed in Ireland. I don't know.
No, it was he went on to be an opera singer for Phantom of the Opera. The actor that played him did Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
It will come to me. It'll come to me.
That's not my bag.
Sanchez reminds me of him. Carl Simpson says Dyer cannot be blamed all the time. Kane and Son, etc., have been in these awful games. But look, I'm not just blaming Dyer. I'm just using him as an example. You know, you're right to say the whole team hasn't performed, but when the backs are against the wall, only certain players rise up and other players crumble. And there's some players that crumble, and the likes of Sanchez and Dyer and people like that, when the pressure is on them, they crumble. When the pressure isn't on them, then they perform well. But when the pressure is on Højbjerg, Bentancur, Romero, and other players like that, they seem to rise up to that occasion. And I think that's what's the problem. We haven't got many and Dyer's not a leader, by the way, as well. He's people call him a leader. He couldn't lead his way out of a paper bag, to be fair. But
you're not Eric Dyer's PR man. Just put it that way.
Yeah, I started this morning. I started this job this morning. I think I'm doing a good job.
Don't apply for the job. You'll never get it.
I've already got it. This is my first day as his PR consultant. Am I doing a good job?
No, he's not going to play ever again for Spurs.
Good.
I know what you're getting at with Eric Dyer, right? I exactly know what you get, because I've been his biggest critic. You know that.
It's not just him. It's not just him, Ellie.
Technical ability I don't like, but his heart for the club. You can tell he's got heart for the club, because when the opposition score, he does look around to see who to blame if he's around. I'll give you that. But when you can tell he's upset. You know, when he goes off the pitch.
It was his fault the other night, and he was blaming other people. How about taking some responsibility and saying, I made a mistake, hold my hand up, I made it.
Sometimes. He could do some good things as well. He's played some good games, but the bad ones are always highlighted. So they're like pushed up there because it's Eric Dyer. But if it was Harry Kane that made those mistakes,
right,
he'd get away with it.
Let me ask you a question, Ellie, right?
Yeah.
Would you, right, this is a question I want an honest answer from you, right? As honest as you can be.
Yeah.
Sanchez, Dyer, Davis, a back three, or Romero, Longley, and Davis in the back three? Who would you be more comfortable with?
Yeah, obviously the second lot. But that's not to do with heart for the club, because I think Eric Dyer has got passion. And he will fight, but his fight is like, sometimes it's like like a little Chihuahua dog. He'll go, right. And then he'll run out of steam.
But when the pressure is on him, Ellie, he will crumble like Sanchez.
That's it. When the pressure is on him, he'll run a mile. You see a big dog coming towards him, he'll run a mile.
Ellie, you do sound like a little chihuahua. But anyway, David Clark says, if you make an aggressive player aggressive, then he'll just lead to red cards and injuries. I don't really accept that. I mean, there's been plenty of aggressive players in the past. Graham Roberts never got sent off every week. There's different types of aggressive. Yeah, it's the Graham Roberts type of aggressive.
Apply it. It's how you apply your aggression.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Ellie. There's two different types. There's Vinnie Jones. There's
Romero's an expert at applying the aggression.
The point I'm trying to make, Ellie, is there's a Vinnie Jones type of aggression which will get you sent off every week, and there's a Graham Roberts type of aggression where, he, there's two different. So I sort of would disagree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lunatic aggression, and then there's the controlled aggression.
Me put here, Kane didn't turn up in games proleptically in the semi-finals and finals where the same energy for him. Look, I'm going to defend Kane here a little bit, not just because I can hear rumblings from Kildare, not just
he's
because
going to come on with a bit.
Yeah, I'm half expecting him to.
David.
I'm half expecting to WhatsApp me. What the hell are you talking about, lad? He's opening back in my front door in about 10 minutes. What saying that? Look, Kane was injured for that Champions League final. We all know he shouldn't have played. We all know he should have came on with 10 or 15 minutes to go. And that, again, that was just Poch, I think, tactically a little bit naive, if anything.
Yeah.
Look, Kane hasn't turned up. Look, he didn't turn up in the first half. I'm the first to admit that, Mia. And I think you're right. I think every player should have the same criticism. But the point is, time and time and time again, he's always got us out of a hole. Even if he isn't playing well, he will pop up, a bit like Jimmy Greaves. If he's not playing well, he could pop up in the 90th minute and score a goal. So, I understand what you're saying here, and I think some of your point is correct. But I think you've got to give him a little bit of leeway too, because he has got us out of a hole too. So that's and she meant to say practically. Thank God. Okay, all right.
Particularly. If you want to say it right, particularly.
I don't care how I say it. It just looks good in my head.
You know what I mean? I'm not getting at you, Dermot. You know it. I love you.
No.
You know what? I was going to say something about Harry Kane, just quickly. Right. Harry Kane has got us out of more pickles than any other player at our club. So we've got to take our hat off to him and say, okay, I'll get Mia's point about the final, but he wasn't fit in that final, so he couldn't affect the game. And it was a shame, really, because we really did need him to pull us out of that pickle, because we had 63% possession. So we had a lot of the ball. And we're playing Liverpool, remember, and we were out possessioning them. That's how good we were at keeping the ball. But the thing is, everything went against us in that final. So it wasn't Harry Kane's fault. It was VAR, that stupid man who gave that handball. And then we were at backs to our wall. And also, what I want to say about Harry Kane, he's a fabulous player. What a player. And he's true Tottenham through and through. And I'll fight his corner. I will fight his corner in every avenue. If somebody comes over to me and says he doesn't turn up in finals, I will battle for him, because he's worth the battle. But his football speaks for itself. You don't really have to battle for him. But if I was in a banter, I would really go to town like David would. Maybe not as good as David, but I'll be there. On Højbjerg, that's a different thing. Højbjerg's my man. Everybody knows that.
Look, he's one of my favourite players too, Højbjerg. And look, I look for me. I think Harry Kane needs to be dropped. I just think he needs to be dropped. I think he's useless. Right, Dave, I'm joking.
He's going to definitely come in now. He's pretty crap, isn't he? He can't even control the ball, for God's sake.
Frank Spencer. That's who Sanchez reminds me of. Frank Spencer.
That's it. Frank Spencer falling over like a Calamity John.
We got Alexander Hilton here. He's saying something else by mistake. So big up, Alexander. Emerson plays worse than 90% of the world's population gets a red card. During the North London derby, it ruins the game, has the inability to cross average at best, definitely, but still gets played over Spence. Look, I think right. Look, Alexander, Alec, you got the lesser of two evils here. You're either on Emerson or Doherty. Which one would you prefer? I prefer Emerson. To be fair, look, Spence will get his chance. I just think it's going to take time and him get used to Conte's ways of playing as a member. But look, he will start, and I think, as I said before, he's the next Kyle Walker.
Yeah.
We've got Terry Wright. We need Giuffai in January. Yes, we do. We're going to get on to that in a minute about transfers because we've got some news on that. Carl Simpson, I would argue he is Spurs' third best defender behind Romero and Longley. I would actually have my
Emerson or Davies.
I think he's on. I don't know who you're on about, Carl. And then we've got David Clark. Skip's not doing bad for 15 grand a week. Look, Skip's just coming back from injury, so I think we need to lay off him a little bit. I think he's come back for injury. He's a far better player, I think, than Dyer and all them. Like he's a Tottenham lad through and through. He comes through the ranks. He knows what it's like. And look, I think Skip's a wonderful. I think a wonderful player. Duella says, I disagree, Auntie Ellie. Why is he making so many mistakes?
Is this about Dyer?
Yeah.
Because he's Eric Dyer. He makes mistakes. That's in his game. It's in his DNA. Yeah. But one thing, he does care about the club. That's the only thing I was saying. He does care. And he does fight, but his fight is not... He hasn't got the tools in the box. You know? He hasn't got the bonds either. But he is a fighter. He will put... The only thing I'll say, he doesn't put his body on the line a lot of the time, which I think is bad. I think that's really bad. But when he does, he gets it in the face or he gets it in the balls. Right. You know what I mean? I think that's what puts him off.
Yeah, I got two good thing here. I don't know how we got into Kane, but we're onto the Quain thing now. I love this. I love how the chat sometimes steer us into a conversation, Ellie, which is great. What are you eating, by the way?
A banana. I'm hungry. The girl's got to eat.
Mia says, "Listen, I love Kane, but just given an example.
Yeah,
he wasn't Tottenham when he wanted to leave for the oil money, though. Let's be honest. Look, I think this with Kane at the start of last season. I think some of it was blown well out of proportion. Look, he just had a long season. The previous season with Spurs, went into the European Championships, got to the final. Then didn't have much time off actually after that. And I think it was the more media that were pushing him to go to Manchester City. The Gary Neville doing the interview by Sky. And I think Sky, TalkSport have an awful lot of manipulation when it comes to transfers and trying to get them started. They're the first ones to stoke the fires. It's starting already. We're Bayern Munich. It's all TalkSport and Sky. We're in Germany with Germany's top transfer people, and then suddenly, do you think Harry Kane will go to Bayern Munich? Oh yes, I think he will because he's a big club. And look, Mia, I get what you're saying, but I think there was more to last season. At the start of last season, then meets the eye. Then he had the Nuno effect, where he didn't speak to Harry for 3 months. I mean, that says it all. So yeah, I sort of agree where you're getting at, Mia, but I think you have to look at it sort of 50. You have to look at it at the whole picture.
Put it this way: you just won the PR Manager of the Year for Harry Kane. You've got the job done. He'll be on the blower later.
Yeah, David, you're not making your point clear. So you keep saying to me every time I speak, I'm wrong. If I said there was a blue moon out there, you're probably saying wrong. It says, Dermot, you have it wrong again. You said about docking wages. I said Skip's not doing bad for 15,000. Yeah, he's not doing bad, but I put it as an example. He's coming back from injury. And there was people out there criticising his performance. So you've got to play a little bit of a level playing field here. He's just coming back from injury. Skip is probably... Conte trusts Skip. Conte really does like what he sees in Skippy. And not everything I say is wrong, but I respect you, David, and please come on to the show because I think you and me had some good banter. But I'm always right.
Take it with a pinch of salt. At the end of the day, he's a club man, isn't he? He's an academy boy, so he's going to pull his weight.
We've got Azad Hamid. Big up Azad Hamid. Hope I got that right. It doesn't have any tools. No,
he's got a big head. That's a big tool. Gets in the way of the Man United shot.
Yeah, and also big up to Paul Pablo as well for joining us today.
Hello, Paul.
Big up.
Good afternoon to you too.
Mia says, Ellie, I told you I was a feisty girl.
I know. You know, I like the way she drops it in about Harry Kane because she knows David Harris likes him.
Paul Pablo puts, love Kane as a player, but one criticism of him and Sonny don't press, which did look.
I think Sonny does.
Yeah,
I think Sonny does. He pulls his weight.
Let me use this as an example, Ellie, and you can help me out on this. Archibald and Crook, when they were the top strikers in the early 80s, Crook did more of the pressing than Archibald did, didn't he? And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with Sonny and Kane. One does the pressing, the other one's there, get ready. Or Kane would drop and do a bit of pressing himself. And they sort of alternate who presses, who doesn't press. But big up Paul Pablo.
It's like, you know, when you're at home, right? And you've got your children, you know which one's going to help you out, and you know which one's going to go missing, right? It doesn't mean the one. It doesn't mean the one that's going to go missing is not going to affect the game or affect your house. It's the same thing. Harry Kane, he's not really good at pressing, so he doesn't really do it. He can't win the ball back usually. He tries his best, but that's not his game. His game is picking up the ball and spraying beautiful passes and also scoring vital goals. That's what we love Harry Kane about. Yeah, there you go. I think I've got second in charge now, Dermot, for Harry Kane.
Yeah, David can't put Dermot. I'm praising Skip. I know you were praising Skip. I did get you.
He's riding you up, Dermot.
They should be knocked for not playing well. I never said Skip was playing badly. I just said Skip is coming back from injury, and he needs to have taken out the equation a little bit. This was only his third game of the season, the first start of the season. So he needs to be, I'm not having a go at him. That's not what I said. What I was saying was Skip has just come back from injury, so you need to really take him out of the equation, but dock the players that don't perform, which is Sanchez, Davis, Dyer, Luis, who's made mistakes as well, and go Emerson.
Good luck with that one. Remember, he's French aristocracy.
That's what I'm trying to say. So I do get what you're trying to say. So, I do understand that point. Terry White, Kane absolutely had 1 foot out the door. Well, yeah, okay, if he probably did actually, but you can't blame him for wanting to have more success at City. Kane has always been a professional. Look, for me, and I know Ellie's the same, we would never begrudge Harry Kane if he wanted to move last season. You can't begrudge him it. But there was a valuation. It wasn't met. It was rejected twice, I think, if there ever was. And then Conte comes in the door. He can see progression. So I don't think Harry Kane's going anywhere. I think he finished his career at Tottenham, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think so. Mia says, haha, my eldest goes missing. My youngest always there to help. Bless him. He's a good boy. Helps his mama with the house.
There you go. See, us women know these things, Well, I've got 3 daughters. I haven't got sons. So generally, daughters help more, don't they, in general? But there's one child who goes missing.
Richard Pugh says, I'm back. Didn't know you left, to be fair.
Didn't know you've gone. Well, big up, Richard. You're back.
Yeah, big up, Richard. Big welcome.
We love you.
Paul Pablo put, to be blunt, Skip, it's the same as Winks without sideways passing. Sorry. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion on Winks. I just think
that's a good analogy.
Yeah,
it's a good analogy, but I would say he's a lot better than Harry Winks. You can't put him in the same breath because, first of all, he can pass a lot better than Harry Winks, and secondly, he's got more about him. He's a fighter. Winks is a bit of a, I won't say it now. Yeah,
sorry.
No, I like it. I like him. Like Steve Perryman said, you can never underestimate an academy boy coming through and making it into the first team, because he's had to go through a lot of tests and trials and tribulations to get there, and he's made it, and he's going to make bloody well sure that he's not going to be dropped, because he's out to impress. He's just not got the fitness yet. It will come though, because it takes time to get that fitness, that match fitness,
My David's back again. He's saying you can't pick and choose to make a point. A player will keep plays well, will keep his wages. He doesn't, he gets docked. You can say he's only back from injury. Players won't put up with it. Look, I'm just saying certain players just don't develop. You can't just pick on Skippy, and I never did, because he is coming back from injury. And I will stick to my point. The likes of
three bad injuries as well, not just a little injury. Three bad injuries. And he had three problems.
I'll stick to my point. Davis, Dyer, Sanchez, Doherty, Emerson, they're the ones that play bad. They're the ones that should have their wages docked if they didn't play well. That's the point I make. So you just can't pick half the point I make and then decide to say, that is my point. I never, Skippy's coming back from injury, and I will stand by that, what I said. Yeah. He's coming back from injury. He needs time.
I know how that feels, Dermot. I know how that feels, because as I was a midfielder, I was an attacking midfielder, so I was taken down a lot, and the bruises on my legs are permanent. I've got them. They're never going to leave my body, all right? And I had so many injuries, and I know when you come back, you need match fitness to be your best, right? The first game, you get it under your belt. The second game, you get it under your belt. The third game, you should be showing improvement, right? The fourth game, you're nearly there. But I think on the fifth or sixth game, you should be there, yeah? So give him time, because you saw how he was against Manchester City when we beat them 1-0. He was tremendous, Skip. He was the one big reason why we won that game, right? Even better than Højbjerg. And that's hard for me to say, because he actually played the blinder that game. And that's against the elite of the elite. Manchester City, they're the elite team. So you've got to give him time. I've got a lot of faith in Skippy, you know. He's not your Ronaldo. He's not your Casemiro, but he's our Skip. And he's one of our own. Yeah. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. No, fair enough, Ellie. Look, I look, to be fair, I think everyone's comments in the chat, it's their opinions are well valued and well understood in this channel, and I think everyone's entitled to their opinions. We may not always disagree, or there may be a bit of banter, but I think that's what it is. There's no nastiness or
just banter. We put our case, they put their case. You know, we bounce off each other.
Out of them conversations we get off the comments, it turns into good conversations like this with Skip. So big up David Clark for putting these comments in, and I really do appreciate it. I really do, and I would love to get you on the show one day, because I think you and me would have one hell of a good show. We don't seem to agree on a lot, but we seem to have good banter. So big up, Dave. He says Skip will not beast you. Skip will not beast you. Think those players who get docked will put up with you saying a Skip who's only just come back from injury. They would say, sod that. Well, I don't care what they think. They're the players that let us down against Mora. They're the players that let us down against Zagreb. They're the players that let us down against Manchester United. They're the players that actually go onto a pitch and keep ballooning the ball up in the air. You've got Sanchez falling over his feet twice again for the first goal against Bournemouth. Are you telling me, and some Dave said as well, you've got Sanchez and players not doing, not putting an effort in. They're just not good enough. And I don't care what they think. They've let me down too many times. They've let the club down too many times. So, and the likes of Skippy and Højbjerg, Bentancur, Romero, people like that who will put in 110% for their club. You can't tell me Sanchez, Davis, Dyer, Emerson, Doherty does the same. Sorry, I can't agree with that. But big up, David. Good points, though. Sorry, Ellie. I just... No,
it's because I played football professionally for Spurs ladies, right? I know where some people are coming from, but I can see something in Skip that he's a club man. He cares. He really does care, and that goes a long way. You know, I mean, Manchester United kids, look what they achieved.
Yeah.
90% of them were kids because they're from the academy. They were exceptional kids. Yeah. And I would put Skip, right? He's not like the fancy player, you know, like a Hoddle or a Hazard. He's not that type of player. He's the player that's a spoiler. He'll get his foot in. He'll fight for the team. You know, you need those players. You need the workhorses, and you need the players that can control a lot of the attacking play. Go and get defending. I mean, he can defend very well, and he'll work hard to win the ball back. You need those ball-winning players. You know, every team's got them. Every team's got them. Even David Harris says it on his team. You need your Højbjergs, you need your Skippies, because then it allows the flair players. The problem is we haven't got a flair player to pass it off to, apart from Kulu and Kane, right? But we really need somebody in the middle who's a flair player.
I'm
Kane doesn't have to do it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put anyone's comment down, but what gets me is these players have let us down again and again and again, and it gets really frustrating when you see players like that doing the same mistakes again. I'm sure Conte's not telling them. I'm not sure Conte's telling them when they're training all week, I want you to fall over when you get the ball, or when you get the ball, instead of putting it down, bring it down.
Footballers, Dermot. They're just rubbish footballers. If you can, that's a loose term, footballer. Because a footballer, you can play football. These boys can't. No, not in my book.
No, we've got me here. No, all players should be docked. Points should be docked. They don't play well. Picking and choosing isn't the point. If a player is injured, give them time, but then dock the wages. Excuse for some players, not others. Look, I totally agree. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
If you don't play well, you don't get your full wages, and it's the same across the board. Look, Ali said Skippy's coming back from injury, so you've got to give him a little bit of leeway, at least for another couple of games. And then once he's fully match fit, then you can put him in with the rest of with everyone. Look, I would have docked all the wages with their first half performance against Bournemouth on Saturday, 1-11.
Yeah.
I still stand by my point. Skippy's just come back from a long-term injury, a serious injury, and that as well. So, I will stand by that. But I just think, I agree with Mia. So big up Mia as well, and big up David Clark. Look, I respect what you're saying, and I do appreciate what you're saying, and I do enjoy the comments you put in. I think we can respectively, as Mia says, respectively disagree, and I think you can. But just keep coming in the comment. I'm wrong all the time. Does actually get me going, because it's not fair, and I know I'm right in what I'm saying. I'll stand by what I say. I don't back down.
That's it. You look, take it like they're putting their point to say you're wrong because they think they're right. So at the end of the day, everybody's got opinions. Yeah. Don't take. Look, I don't know.
It's not the point.
When I'm disagreed with, you have to ride with it. You try and fight your corner again. That's all you've got to do.
It's not what I'm trying to say, but I'll explain to you after what I'm trying to get.
Yeah. All right. No problem.
We've got Richard said, let's bring. Oh, God, bloody comments. I get pop-ups on my computer, right? When I'm trying to read the comment, then a pop just goes over the top of it.
Do you want me to read them, Dermot, to give you a bit of a rest?
You can do, Ellie. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. It says, let's bring back respectfully disagreeing again. The world has lost that recently, and as Spurs fans can show them the way, this is the way. Yeah, because we can agree to disagree, We agree to disagree a lot of the time, don't we, Dermot?
Yeah. It's just when. Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry. But I do respect everyone's opinions. Don't get me wrong. I just stick by my point. I'm just sticking by my point I made. I'm not backing down from that.
That's it. Be a proud man and stick by your point. It's all right. It's decent.
Yeah. I don't think anyone can deny those players aren't good enough. But the one against Man United, no one turned up. Stop scrapping. Stop gate. I'm not scapegoating. I've already said that every one of them players deserve their ridicule. And I said last night, players need to take responsibility for their own actions, for their performances, and stand up. But if you got to play like Romero,
Højbjerg turned up against Man United.
Yeah, Bentancur. You got them players that will turn up and there's players that won't turn up. And I think that's the problem. Jose said it, we're not nasty enough. And I think that's sort of stuck with us. And I think we've got David Clark. What about Son? Only scored in 2 matches this season. How much would you dock him? He's paid to score goals. Look, I don't know what's wrong with Sonny this year, to be fair. Look, this docking thing it happened. I think it happened. I knew it happened at one club that if you didn't play well, there was a performance built into their contract. They didn't play well, or they got sent off, or they got so many yellow cards, or they didn't play or gave away a penalty, or their performances were bad, then they got docked. Would you think Alex Ferguson would stick up with them players, what we got, a Dyer, a Davis, or a Sanchez at Man United when he was manager? What do you think he would have done to them? What do you think Roy Keane would have done to them in the dressing room? What do you think Steve Perryman and Graham Roberts would have done to them if they were them players in the 80s? Look,
I think we've got enough character in our side to pull up the other ones. The thing is, the problem is, Dermot, you can't. I know this is a rude term, but you can't polish a turd because basically they haven't got the skill set and the tools, to do. They can't compete with Casemiro and Fernandes. Yeah, however good they are, they can't. These are creative players. They've got skill sets way beyond our players, and that is the difference. Sometimes you can put all the effort you want into a game, but if the other team is technically brilliant, and that showed against Manchester United, they were technically better than us on the ball. They can actually pass the ball as well. We were like woeful in that match, and we've been like that for most of the season. It's not an isolated game where we haven't played well. We've played very badly throughout the season. There's only one game and one half of a game that I can say, bloody hell, we played well there, and that was the Fulham game and the second half of the Leicester game when Basuma came on and played the blinder. He really did, because we created 8 more chances when Basuma came on. That's the difference, because these players who can affect the game, they have to step up, the ones that we rely on, like your Basuma, because we know he's got a better skill set and he can get us out of the mire, but he hasn't been doing it. That's the problem. And consistently, he's been quite dire.
That's so true, Ellie. That is so very true. Right, we'll move on from that. We're actually going to go to a bit of Tottenham news.
Okay.
Now, this is the first news. So we saw this morning. Now, I will find the article and actually read you out the full article, Ellie. It's about our sponsors. Now, I didn't know until this morning that AIA were a China firm, a company. So I didn't realize until you told me that, to be fair. You know of AIA, Ellie, and what do you know? What do you know of them?
Oh, they're an insurance company at source, aren't they? But they do lots of different things. I haven't really delved into that company too much, to tell you the truth. Hand on heart, I don't like it because they're in red on our shirts. I already dismissed them when they put red on our shirt, for God's sake. And I was told off the other day because I was wearing my Hotspur shirt with AIA in red. But I was so proud to have Hotspur on my back. But then this fan goes, "Why are you wearing that shirt? It's got red on it." And he was, I don't know. I just think that the company, if they have got dodgy dealings, and I've never looked into them on the human rights and freedom source, but if they have, I can't blame Levy for wanting to drop them. But why did he take them on in the first place? Didn't he have his men researching that company? Surely he should have had his lawyers researching the company before you take on a sponsorship.
Well, with this was come out in the Evening Standard, and I can read out the quote for you. It's only a small section, so I won't take too long. Basically, a group of politicians have called on Tottenham to cut ties with their main sponsor, AIA, accused of club of collaborating with supporters of human rights, whatever, in Hong Kong. Chinese company IAA Group has publicly supported national security law in Hong Kong, blah, and it goes on. And then it's the British government opposed the law, and a paramilitary group have written Spurs chairman Dan Levy and called for the club. In a letter shared with the Standard Sport, the politicians claimed that they continue to support national security law. AIA was a legitimate to China's illegal establishment of beautiful whatever they're being done in Hong Kong. The group, which includes Lord Alton of Liverpool, of Lord Shank, have overreaching and degrade and the Guardian sponsorship with the AIA, a stain on the club's reputation. Spurs first struck a sponsorship deal with AIA in 2013, and its logo has been on the front of the club shirts ever since. In 2019, Tottenham announced a new deal worth a reported 320 million to extend their partnership with AIA until 2027. As a part of the AIA sponsorship deal with Spurs, its brand is due to continue to appear on the front of the club's men's, women's and academy shirts until the end of the 26-27 season. Tottenham declined to comment when contacted by Standard Sport. AIA was approached for a comment. Ellie, what do you think we should do? I do apologise for some of them names I get right.
It's not up to me to comment on that, because that's for the lawyers to look at and delve into and clarify and give solid advice to our chairman and board. Because at the end of the day, if it was me in charge of Spurs, I would actually sever the ties if that's all true. But you have to make sure, that it is all true, because a lot of things that come out and written in the press are propaganda. And I just feel like if it is all true, you've got to make a stand, haven't you?
Look, without knowing all of the whole story as a whole. And we do know that some of the press can exaggerate some things, or their sources can't be right. I think it'd be wrong for me to sort of comment on the whole thing. Look,
that's right.
At the end of the day, Ellie, football is about money, and it's about the people that bring the money. Who's got the biggest check? Who's got the biggest? Who's going to put the much more into the team? Yeah, and I think it is. It's all about money. I mean. We've got Eugene saying, which country doesn't have humans? Look, every country has its own problems. I agree. Look, I don't know. It's just something I saw. I thought it was worth. I said to you about it, Ellie. And
it's like the old saying says, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Yeah. If one country's done X amount of violations and the other's done Y amount of violations, they're both bad. In my book, they're both committing human rights errors, but,
it's just one of them things, Ellie. It's just one of them things. Look, it's one of them things. It's down to the club and whatever. Look,
they've got to decide.
I saw it in the news and I thought I'd bring it up because they are our sponsors. And I'm actually quite surprised they didn't go for the naming rights, Ellie, to be fair.
Yeah, I think, because they're a big enough company, they're rich enough, they've like cornered the market in terms of they've got a lot of power, that company, So money talks at the end of the day, isn't it? You've said it already, Dermot. You hit the nail on the head. and there's a lot of corruption in football, and there's so many violations that are being just a blind eye being turned to it. So, yeah.
I don't know. We seem to be a bit lagging a little bit. I know. You coming across all right? I can't bring up.
Yeah, I've got to turn the light on because it's got really dark in here, Dermot. So can you just wait 1 second?
Anyway, while I turn the light. Story...
I'll come back. I'm just going to go and turn my light. Just bear with me.
Yeah.
It's got very, very dark.
Yeah, it has. And I'm getting nothing up on my computer now.
That's better.
Ellie, I've got to log out. Can you just continue for a minute? I've got to log out to log in again.
Yeah. What's the next
there we go. That's all right. Yeah, there we go. There you go. I'm back now. It's just my computer froze for a minute. So my computer froze for a minute. So we've got Carl Simpson. Come on, Levy, sitting in his office, listen to Jessie J. It's all about the money, money, money. Dave Clark, and enough about AAA, but as
comment of the night, comment of the day. Sorry, I love that one.
David Clark says, "I know nothing about AIA. To be fair, I didn't know nothing about them to sponsor Spurs, but us as individual in our everyday life, that for all we know have come from China, we don't stop buying it." Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Eugene puts, if the government interferes in football matters, this will breach FIFA rules. And that's a very, very good point.
Very good point.
That's a point that is extremely worth making, because government shouldn't interfere with football. So that's a very good point, Eugene. Big up, Eugene. Please, everyone, get over to his Persuasion channel. Hit a like, hit a subscribe on that channel, because he does have fantastic guests.
Very intelligent man, Eugene.
Yeah, big up, Eugene. Mia says the issue is we all try and be morally sound, but we all have iPhones, etc., which has been made by exactly. And Carl said, all good here, good man. Right, second bit of news. We're going to go away from that. I just saw it, Ellie, and I thought, I thought we'd see, can we get a conversation out?
It opens a can of worms. It opens a can of worms, but in a negative and a positive way, because what that comment said, we all buy our iPhones. There's leather footballs made for the Premier League, and they're sticked by children, and I think Eric Cantona done a documentary on it as well. He actually went to China. And he was highlighting all these kids making all these sportswear and stuff for Disney as well. So it's like it's a minefield. It's a minefield what goes on in the world.
It is
to feed them.
It's a minefield we're going to step away from.
Yeah, I think
it's a minefield we're going to step away from now.
Yeah, we'll get back to Spurs, Paul. Not that we're not being disrespectful by doing that. We're just saying we want to keep it to Spurs now, because Spurs is our true passion, isn't it?
Do you want to read this one out by Eugene, Ellie?
Levy out wanted the Asian market.
By Eugene?
Yeah, Levy out wanted the Asian market, so that's why I don't get that bit. AIA as sponsors. That's why. Yeah, that's why AIA.
I think he's laughing.
Yeah. Right. He's looking at Levy.
Levy signs off. Yeah, sorry, Ellie. Go on. Sorry.
Levy signs off 3 major Tottenham transfers with midfield duo Close.
Yeah, that's what I was. I thought you were talking. That's why I stopped. In case I was. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
All right.
Yeah. This article's actually come from Team Talk. And basically, Tottenham will reportedly sign 3 players in January, with 2 midfielders closing in on moves. Levy wants 2 midfielder deals as part of a triple January splurge. Tottenham are ready to back Conte with serious funds in January transfer window, with 3 signings reportedly in the works. The Italian have galvanised Spurs since his arrival 1 year ago, and can this week lead the club in his last 16 Champions League. Tottenham are not among the favourites for the competition. That will suit them just fine. However, the club are hoping to deep into the competition, while the club also has to push Man City and Arsenal hard in the title race. So, however, Conte knows his squad will need more quality and quantity adding to it, and reports claim Daniel Levy is ready to sanction 3 big January over their chances. One at the top of Conte's list is Atlanta midfielder Rosla Milo Fossicate, reports one Italian paper. The 29-year-old is no longer regarded as a regular starter of Serie A title chasers, making just this season. However, Conte is a big admirer of the Ukrainian and is keen to bring him to North London. Atalanta would prefer to keep him in their mix, but with his deal due to expire in the summer, any sort of offer will convince them to sell.
Yeah.
Also, more money to join him as well. Conte is also looking at, even with his midfield, with the deal also progressing on Winston McKennie. The American is likely to be sacrificed by Juventus. Big money to Spurs on the agenda. Would you, Jerry, or is it the wrong positions?
I didn't quite hear that, Dermot, because you were breaking up.
Right.
Would I approve of Conte? Right. Yeah. Go on.
Would you be happy with McKennie and the Atlanta midfielder in January? If we bought them 2 players in January, would you be happy with that?
If Conte's identified them as 2 players that can improve his midfield in terms of goals and assists, yes. Because I know a lot about McKennie. I don't know so much about the other player, but McKennie's a box-to-box midfielder, very energetic, can score goals, can lay off goals. It's a bit like Hazard, but not as good as Hazard, but he's a similar player. He's very strong and powerful. So I would like to see him. He's an American. He's got a point to prove. Everybody puts down the American players. They don't rate them. But he's one that stands out. So if Conte wants him, I want him. Right? And the other guy, what's his name? Sorry?
That's him there.
The other guy at Atlanta. Yeah, I saw his name before. I just couldn't pronounce it. Yeah, this one I'm not so sure of, because if he's out of favour at Atlanta, he's not getting game time. He might be a bit rusty. But having said that, nor was Kulusevski. He wasn't getting game time either. And look how he panned out. He's got a bit more experience. I think he wants to do ready players. And this guy probably, Conte feels that he's a ready player. He can come in, slot in there, and we can use him and utilise his skills and experience. But other than that, I would like to see Maddison come, because he could create. He's Premiership proven. These 2 boys, we don't know what we're going to get at the end of the day. We can only judge what they're doing in Serie A, which is a much slower league in terms that you get more time to think. In the Premiership, it's like gun-ho, isn't it? It's like heavy, press. And the game's changed so much, so he's identified them because they're the type of players that are competitive. So, I'll stand by Conte's decision. If he wants them, I want them.
Well, Ellie, we have some breaking news from the world of football.
David's coming on.
No, from the world of football, I said.
I know, I'm just joking.
Paul Pogba's going to miss the World Cup with a knee injury. So Paul Pogba is out of the French national side.
Oh, well. World Cup. I don't think they'll be crying too much in France.
Yeah, David Clark, I've got to take my dog out before it rains cats and dogs. Great podcast. We'll be back for the next one. Marseille 1-1, other game a draw. We will top a group. Big up, David Clark. And look, as much as we have sort of heat degrade, I really love your comments coming in. I would love to get you on the show because I think we'll have a good show. And big up, David Clark. Don't get too wet, sir. Don't get too wet. We have we've got Greg Spurring, Eugene saying, "Got to go, everyone. Sleep soon. Have a good show." And as always, yeah, leave it out.
Thanks for your comments, Eugene. Brilliant.
Yeah, Eugene, thank you. Greg Spur, who are the players? I'll bring them up again there for you, sir. Let me get them there. They are, well, Weston McKennie is one, apparently. We're in for. And then the other one is the Ukrainian, who actually I think I saw when we played Ireland. He's a very good player. Yeah. So he's the other player as well. So yeah. Basically, that's what I said first. So I realised I saw him before. David Clark saying Mackenzie will not improve us enough when Madison is available. It's crazy not to pay 15 million for Madison. Totally agree with you. I actually totally agree with you, David. I think we need to get Madison in, and it would be crazy not to pay. I totally agree with you. McKennie, no thanks. He's too similar to what we already have. I'd like to see Neves or Madison. Me and Ellie both agree with that. Do you, Ellie? Nev or Madison? Yeah. Or no, what Terry White says.
Oh, McKennie or I'd go for Madison. I've got a soft spot for Madison. Yeah. I've always loved him. I think he's a fabulous player. Fabulous. He won't work 100%, but he affects games. Yeah. And he gets goals.
Yeah. Malinowski is out of favour because he told his manager he wanted to move to Spurs in the summer, but we never made an offer. Well, we may have done, but maybe Atalanta said they weren't willing to sell. 6 months left on his contract, Ellie. You know? Yeah,
because you never know what goes on behind closed doors. No. You know, you only can go on what these what they called FYIs are telling us. Yeah. But the thing is, Spurs are quite a secretive club as well, aren't we? Notoriously secret. We don't let a lot of things out or a lot of things leak. And when we do, it's usually fake news that they leak. So put off everybody off the real trail of the real truth. Yeah.
It is. Ellie, that is actually the end of Newsbeat. We've got loads more to get through tomorrow because we've got a big day tomorrow, actually. We've got lots going on tomorrow. We've got a few shows. So, Ellie, what time does your lady show start? And you're going to be going into depth with the 8-0 win we had over the weekend with the girls, which I will quickly bring up. Do you want to talk about that quickly, Ellie? Just quickly, and then go into more depth.
It was a fabulous performance all round. The manager, Rhiannon Skinner, got a reaction from our defeat last week where we gave up with a whimper. We never challenged them. We weren't biting at their ankles, you know. But this performance was fabulous. I thought they were all in it to win it, you know. And to win 8-0 is fantastic. And Brighton, they didn't sort of bend over and die. They just weren't good enough. We were on it. We were on their case, and everybody chipped in, as you can see. Ashley Neville, I love her. I love her. And Drew Spence is a fabulous addition from Chelsea. And then you've got Jessica Naz, who's absolutely brilliant. I said the other day that she needs to work on a little bit of the pressing and working a bit harder. And she really did show a lot in this game. I was very impressed with her. Out of all the players, she's got a very good skill set. I love her as she dribbles. And Ashley Neville, she always gives her all, regardless. Brilliant player. Brilliant.
Yeah. So we've got that. So we've got that tomorrow. What else we've got coming up tomorrow, Ellie?
I just want to say that Ashley Neville tweeted me as well, which I was very, very chuffed. Hit my heart because I love her as a player, you know. It's brilliant. Tomorrow, what we got on? We've got the pre-match Marseille, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got the lady show. Yeah, we've got your lady show.
Oh, well, my lady show's at 3 o'clock, isn't it? Lady show at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I believe when are we going for the preview? Is it 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock. We've got the lady show at 3. We've got DERMOTRON and Queen Ellie's pre-game thoughts at 6, and then at 8:15 we have the watch along to the Marseille game, and then after that, then Thursday we're doing Wednesday we're doing the post-match show, but that's going to be turned into a post-match fan show sort of thing. So come on, have your say, Ellie. And then on Thursday we have a debate show at 8 o'clock where me, Ellie, Philip Brady, and Mr. Box Office himself will be on. Alex. He won't be on the floor.
Nice one.
He won't be on the whole stream, but the basis of the debate is Ellie said, me and Ellie were talking. She said to me, Højbjerg could get into any top 14. I said, I don't think he would. But that's the debate. But we're going to have Alex on as well. We're going to have Philip Brady back, the Godfather back from his holiday. So we all look forward to that. And then we build up again for the Liverpool game. So we've got plenty coming up. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day.
First households, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I'm excited about is playing that Liverpool game, because it's going to show our true character. If we could win that one, Dermot, I'll be so proud of the team, because we're expecting Liverpool to have a reaction to losing to Leeds. That's the sign of a great team. But if we could put one over them, that would be so cool. And I'll be the first one to be celebrating that one at Lane Stadium.
Yeah. And then Ellie, on the 18th of November, we're doing our charity stream for 12 hours.
Very important.
Yeah. Look, the link for the donation page is on the YouTube channel. I will start putting it into the chat as from tomorrow, so we can start actually building start getting donations in. Look, even if it's 50 cents, a pound, 50p.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be major, but we're just trying to help children and families who might be finding it a bit difficult with children with autism and ADHD, and Christmas coming up. They may need that extra toy for him, or a light, or for her, and they may need other stuff. So look, it's something that's close to our hearts. Look, as for me too, I suffer with, I've been diagnosed with it as well. So yeah, it is challenging at times. Even for an adult, it's challenging. So what it's like for a little child, God, do you know what I mean? It's hard enough for them. If it's hard enough for an adult, then it's hard for them. But there isn't help at the moment for families that are struggling. So the idea of this stream, this charity stream, is actually so we can just fill that gap a little bit. The money will go to 3 different charities, which will be donated given to them live on air. And it actually, this stream started actually from Ellie and me talking about when I was diagnosed, and it sort of sprang from that, didn't it? And the sort of conversation sort of went, what can we do with this platform to help families that are struggling? So that's the plan. So please, the donation button, the PayPal is on there. It is linked to the other charities as well. So, and then also, if you want to become a patron as well, Ellie, what they can do for the patrons, because we will add, won't we? Whatever patron they pick, we're going to add to it as well, aren't we? We're all going to chip in and make the donation level with what you've donated as a patron. And I believe it's £3, £4 and £5 now, the patron membership. £3, £4, £5.
We, you know, whatever you can afford, it helps, you know, and we will match it together. Like if it's a £3 one, with me, Dermot and Philip put £1 each in, you know, to match it so that we can give more money. At the end of the day, it's up to you guys. We'll leave it in your court. We're no pressure. It's a good cause. It's a very good cause when you're helping children suffering with this really bad thing, how it affects the entire families as well. And if we can help one child, it's very good.
I think, Ellie, to make a point, and Mia here says, brilliant cause. I have boys and one ASD and one ADHD. Look, I see. That's what I want to do. We have a platform on here where we come on, talk about Spurs, and we all have a laugh and we have a joke, or we get into a debate and all this. But I just wanted to do something good with this while we got this platform. And I think if I can help one family, I think that will make it will make me feel better as a person. And look, Mia, thank you so much. And we're doing 12 hours. Dave's going to host a quiz for us against me versus Ellie. So it should be fun. Team Dermot, so I'm going to pick one person. Ellie can pick one person. Huh?
I'm going to win, obviously.
We got right the questions yet.
Yeah, I know, but I'm going to cheat.
We're going to have a debate on who was the greatest footballer, Jimmy Greaves or, Harry Kane. I know different eras. Yeah. So we're going to have different things. We're going to go back to the Maradona Pele thing again, George Best or Ryan Giggs. George Best or Gaza, because the sort of similar careers went in similar ways in so many different things. Who was the best team of the 80s, of the 70s and 60s? We can have your all-time Spurs 11 from you people in the chat, so get them in. Yeah. We're also going to do some FIFA stuff as well. That's going to be in another part of the stream. We're going to do, and Ellie and me and Philip are going to do our all-time Spurs 11, and that is when the Godfather, the King, Queen, and the Godfather show will make its first debut show on that charity stream, where me and Ellie and Philip were talking about our Spurs history, and then we're going to open up to people come on and talk about their Spurs favourite times, and we're going to show a few games as well, and we're going to go back to 84 to watch the UEFA Cup final. We're going to go back to 81 to watch Villiers' brilliant goal again. And we're just going to have fun. 12 hours of pure laughs and jokes and just fun. But at the cause of it is an important message that families need help. And anyone and I think it's important because a lot of it's got missed with the pandemic and with what's happening around the world. I think these families should not be forgotten, which they are being forgotten. And I think it's important that we don't forget these people because it is important and there isn't the help out there. And if we can help one family, that will do for me. But, let's see if we can help as many families as we can. Carl Simpson, great show. Thank you, Carl. Very kind, sir. Mia says 100% Dermot, such a good cause as it really does affect people and families and it can be so difficult. Yeah, it can, Mia. Yeah. It really can. And I during the stream, I'll explain more how it's impacted my life. And I think we've got a few people coming on as well about how their children being there, how it's affected their family life and what they've had to change as families and that. So look,
also Dermot, I just want to say this. I was sitting talking to Dermot about it on the phone, and my daughter overheard me about a week ago. I was talking about the charity event that we're doing, and she said she would this week, once we send the PayPal to her work, where she works for a big advertising company, whatever they can raise, she's not promising anything, but she'll put it out there for us, and that's the sort of thing. My daughter, she's a chip off the old block. I must say, she's got a really good heart, and she knows herself because she suffers a little bit of ADHD, not too bad, but she has got a little bit of attention deficit disorder, and she's plugged her way through, and she's made it as a payroll manager for a big advertising company, and she does HR as well. So you can fight adversity. You can fight adversity and things that are challenging in your life. And I really was proud of her when she said that. I was so proud of her. Yeah.
It is. Look, I exactly. Look, Ellie, it can be difficult. It can be. I suffer. Mine is linked to my mental health, which is linked to my anxiety and everything else. So it can lead to stuff. It can lead on to other things. And it's tough, but it's tough for the families when there's no help there for them families. When they have to struggle to get help, they have to raise up money themselves for a sensory room for the child or a light for the child for the bedroom. It's so hard. Yeah. And there isn't help out there. So this is what the stream's all about. So thank you for everyone, please. Exactly. Jamie Oliver has AS. Yeah, he does. There's loads of people have it. But it also made my childhood a bit more. I understood my childhood now. Then, when I got diagnosed, everything made sense. Why I was like what I was like. Carl Simpson puts a good point here, Ellie. These kids have taken a battering with anxiety, etc. over COVID. They did. Teenagers, especially. Mia says, I can come on and speak about my view, as well as I'm a massive supporter of speaking about it more, so much people understand the effect. Yeah, Mia, lovely. We'll sort something out. Yeah, we'll sort something out with that. Right, Ellie? Yeah, and Greg says Menaces Festival. Yeah, it is. So anyway, we're back tomorrow at 3 with the ladies show. And then we're 6 with the pre-match DERMOTRON and Queen Ellie game thoughts. And then we're into the watch along. Can Spurs do it? We hope you've enjoyed Newsbeat. We're back on Wednesday at 3 o'clock with probably a bit about the game on Tuesday, the news, and then we're back on Friday at 1 o'clock for the build-up to Liverpool game, where we do all the, so you can get a bit out press conference and that. So we shall see you then. Ellie, are you taking us out with anything today?
What shall I do? Shall I do the banana splits?
Go on then. Let me put you on solo layout. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow at 3. Take care, everybody. Here's Ellie. See you out.
Okay, ready for me? La 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 la. 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4 bananas sitting on the floor. La 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 la. Cut.